Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Jazwares, the Spartan Collection Master Chief. This is the Halo Infinite version of Master Chief. This is the Series 4 version. A lot of people keep asking me, how do I know what series it is? It doesn't say. It says it back here, in an inconspicuous place, all the way over here where it shows the other figures in the wave, which does make sense, but it would make more sense to also have it somewhere on the front, like right here, somewhere here, maybe over here. You know, there's places. But either way, this is basically just another version of the Infinite Master Chief. We've already looked at two versions of it. We're going to do a comparison across all three. I didn't look at Series 2 because, from my understanding, it's the same as Series 1. It's just the exact same figure. So we have Series 1, Series 3, and Series 4. We're going to look at all of them in this review, but we are going to focus on this guy because that's the figure we're reviewing. So let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. Alrighty, this guy stands just about 19 centimeters, which makes him pretty close to about 7.5 inches. And I just want to talk about scale for a minute. If this is 1/12 scale, he is too tall. Master Chief is supposed to be around 7'2" in his armor, and that would make him 7'6". People keep comparing this one to the 1000 Toys Master Chief, saying it's too small. That figure's off by like 1/8 of an inch to accurate height for 1/12 scale. This one's accurate height for Marvel Legends 1/12 scale, so now you have some options. Okay, alright, so let's do a quick question of the day. Alright, I want to know two things. First of all, of the Master Chiefs I'm about to show you in this review, all the different Jazwares ones, which one is your preferred look? You can tell me that. Wait till we look at them, unless you already know. Then you can go ahead and put that in the comment section below. And then my second question is, if you played Halo Infinite's campaign, what did you think of the story? No spoilers for people who haven't watched it, though I will say, for those of you who haven't played it, who don't know what the story is, there's not a whole lot to be spoiled on. But you guys can let me know how you feel about that in the comment section below. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is just do a quick comparison. This is the newest one, the Series 4. It is the cleanest one by far. He has none of the dry brushing on him. All we get is the scratch right here. Okay, we don't have any of the paint work on the upper part of the chest. Well, we have these gray dots, but not up there. We have these over here, which are painted, they're okay. And then we have these black things back here painted, but we're not getting any of the green. It is a very basic paint job, but there is some paint on it, just much, much less. Now, before we look at Series 1, we're going to compare it to the closest thing, which is Series 3. Now, Series 3 is the one that does not have the chrome visor. Obviously, that is not as good. Some people like that look, and that's fine. It does look good for what it is, but the chrome is definitely the thing I would go for because his visor is chrome in the game, or at least reflective. So that's nice. But as you can see, the Series 3 has tons of dry brushing all over it and airbrushed black spots all over it. Otherwise, the paint job is pretty much the same as far as the spots on the chest and like the backpack and things like that. It does have the grapple shot over here, but otherwise he's gonna be about the same release. Okay, so you get the different visor and the shading throughout, all the black shading. This is just about the aesthetics, by the way. We will talk about this guy's QC and stuff as we get into his review, but I wanted to give you guys a quick idea of what we're looking at. He does appear to have a darker undersuit in the torso and probably in the shoulders as well. A little bit darker on the Series 3. That's the one on the left. Okay, so there's the differences there. Now we're going to go ahead and look at the Series 1, which is the one I recommend despite a few quality control issues. Series 3 was riddled with QC issues. So here we have a difference of basically the paint job down here is just wrong. They painted this black, which you could probably just clean away because I'm pretty sure it's just green plastic. But we do get extra black for the torso. Up here in the collar piece, we get the black above the little dots. They painted this spot back here. They painted the stripe going across, which is nice. And then we do have the other same details. We do have the chrome visor. It's a slightly different color. It's a little bit more orange for Series 1. And we don't have the re-engineered shoulders, neck, hips, knees, things like that. So it is an entirely different figure. I would definitely recommend you, not entirely, but pretty close, check out the individual reviews. Actually, for all of them, if you're debating which one to get, there are different things about them, engineering-wise. For me, it's still going to come down to Series 1 because he doesn't have that giant neck, which is way too long and very thick. But there are some benefits to not having Series 1. If you want a really clean look, this is the one to go with. Okay, so there you go. Now you've got your comparisons done. If you want to see a comparison between 1 and 3, you can check out Series 3 review. Alright, and I'll have those all up there. Okay, so let's talk about the aesthetics on here. Does he look good? Well, yes, he does look good overall. I will say, though, that this chest piece here, his main torso, is a slightly different, maybe the crotch too, it looks like, slightly different plastic, and so a different color than the arms and legs. These are all PVC. These parts are ABS, as far as I can tell. It might not be actually ABS, but it's a hard plastic. It feels like ABS. It probably is. So it's, yes, definitely a different color, and that's not great. It's not a terrible difference, but there is a difference. There is none of the washing or brushing or airbrushing or anything like that, just the smudge right there. Looks good enough, I'll take it, but I do think if we're not going to have any of the extra detail work, they need to go in and paint things. Like these lines here should be lit up. If it's the same as Halo 3, I'm not sure actually for Infinite. Maybe not those, but there are different details like the lines back here, the collar piece here. There's details throughout that definitely should be painted if we're talking about accuracy, so that would be very nice. But as it is, it looks good enough as a clean piece. No real problem there. The visor is chrome. It's missing a little bit of that oranginess to it, but it still looks good. It's an aesthetically pleasing figure, so I'm fine with it. If you want a clean look, this is definitely the way to go, but we do have the very tall neck. It's probably not too thick, but the head does sit too high on it, and that's definitely a bummer. Now, we will cover one thing before we get into anything else. That's the aesthetics. Actually, here, I'll give you a rating for the aesthetic. 8 out of 10, because it does look really good. The neck is too tall, but the chrome visor is nice, and it is a clean paint job, though it is missing some detail here and there. Okay, now, before we get into anything else, I know you're wondering, what if I want the battle damage one, but I want to swap out the visors? Well, technically you could do that, but odds are you're going to ruin the visors. So, what you could do is swap out the heads, and let's see how that works. It should work as far as like the mechanical connection, but will it look good? That's the question. It'll probably look fine, but let's see. Yeah, I don't think you're going to notice the lack of battle damage too much on the head. If you really wanted to, you could just take some silver and dry brush it, because that's all they did in most places. And I wouldn't go nuts with the airbrush shooting black on it. But if you really wanted the chrome visor on the Series 3, they do swap out, and it doesn't look terrible. And if you really wanted the not chrome visor on the Series 4, they do swap out, but the head, of course, is going to be all beat up. And I'm not positive it's green plastic. It might be green plastic, so you could just kind of clean this off with some paint remover, but I'm not no, it is definitely green plastic, so you could probably get away with that if you want to clean off the bulk of it. Just be careful you don't hit the visor or the details. So yeah, they do swap out. If you do prefer this or this look, that's totally up to you, though I can't for the life of me think of why anybody would want to not have the chrome visor. That's not true. I can. Somebody commented about that the other day in the comment section. They said, I do stop motion, and the chrome visor makes reflections a nightmare. Fair enough. So if you don't like the chrome, you could swap it out and do a little bit of cleanup work. Okay, that was a lot of intro. Let's go ahead. Wow, we're really late into this review. Let's talk about the accessories. He finally comes with the AR, so that's very nice. Did he come with it for Series 1? I don't remember. You can check out the individual reviews to check out their accessories. So he does come with the AR and the ever-useful plasma pistol, though serving no purpose in the sandbox, it seems. This time around, it is nicely detailed on the figure. The accessories do have the ability to pop in right here because these panels on the legs, I do think this is a very nice detail they've added. Those panels swap around. You can just flip them around and then they have the peg. So you can put it in there. If you wanted to, you could put it on his other side too. This does work, though it doesn't match the game ever. And same thing for back here. I have the peg facing out right now because I was using it, but that just swaps around too. You pull it out, switch it around, put it back in, no peg. Very nice touch there. As far as hands go, we have 2 gripping hands that come on him in the package, 2 fist hands that come in the package, 2 loose hands, and then 2 double pointing, or a double pointing finger hand, one of those. That's good enough, except he doesn't have a trigger finger. Granted, he doesn't need it for either of these accessories, though he technically should have a trigger finger. He doesn't have a trigger finger hand. Okay, so that's it for accessories. That's good enough. I'll go 8 out of 10. That's fine. That's nice. I do think we should have a trigger finger hand, though, or maybe a grenade or something else. Okay, now as far as the engineering goes, as far as the articulation goes, this guy is an improvement, though he is the same overall figure as Series 3 in terms of parts. He's been improved. Like, this guy's a floppy mess for the hips, and this guy is not. So that's good. But let's go ahead and talk about it. The head can look up, the head can look down. We have our full rotation because it's technically on a ball peg, so there's a little bit of lean, but it definitely sits way too high on the body. That doesn't look right at all. They need to fix that for the next series. For the shoulders, we have our rotation. It's not too tight, but it's definitely, it's not too loose, so that's okay. That's good. For the shoulders, we can bring them out to the side. These will flex a little bit, not quite horizontal, but I think that's good enough. You do get your bicep swivel there. Double jointed elbow does work nicely, and it looks good. Like, there's nothing really wrong with that. That's fine. The wrists all have a swivel and a hinge. None of them have the vertical hinge. and you will have some limitations in posing with the wrists. And because we don't have an elbow swivel, you're going to have some difficulty getting him to shoulder the weapons properly. Like, he'll be able to do it, and I'll show you photos at the end, but it's not going to be exactly the way you want it to be. So that's something that's a deal breaker for a lot of people, and I want to mention it. Now for the torso, I want to show you guys something. This is our torso articulation. It's a giant, long ball peg, which snaps in down here. Alright, so you would assume you get all kinds of good range out of that, and that we just have the floating piece. Well, I would have assumed that also, except the floating piece is keyed in, so it doesn't have any rotation, which doesn't make any sense, but that is how they chose to do it. If we can get it in there, that's what she said. So, there you go, the floating piece just covers it's just an assembly thing, and then this ball peg snaps in. The floating piece prevents all range of motion. You can't rotate, you can't lean really, like just a little bit. So what could have been amazing articulation turned out to be virtually zero articulation in the torso. Hey, Jazwares, if you guys want some consulting work done by me, I would be happy to do it, free of charge even. I'll do it for free, just put my name on the box. Consulted, Anthony's Customs. And I'll do anything you want as far as talking about engineering with you. I don't care about compensation, I just want it to work. So let me know if you guys want to do that, if you're seeing this video. This doesn't need to be that way. It wouldn't have cost anything for it to work. And now we have no articulation in here. Speaking of articulation that doesn't work, the hips are way better on this release than the last one. They're nowhere near as loose. They're not as tight as I would like. They are just ball pegs, and that can be difficult, but they are not floppy, so that's a good thing. The last release, the Series 3, was a problem. These guys, much better. Series 4, much better. You do get your thigh swivel, that's fine. Now here we go with the knees. These knees are an abomination to knee engineering everywhere. They are not improved over Series 3. They are hideous. Hideous knees. You cannot pose this figure without it looking terrible unless you just do that. Like, that's it, and it still doesn't look good because there's a lot wrong here. This giant block of plastic in between the two pegs, the two joint swivels, not gonna work ever. You're gonna end up with a giant knee. His knee, once bent, is longer than his whole upper leg put together. Like, all of these parts put together longer than here is what I meant to say. Not okay. Not a good engineering job on those knees at all. Yeah, they function, but they're atrocious. Now for the ankles, you can get the feet pretty far back. It takes a little force to get over that hump, but the feet go all the way back, and they go really far forward. Great design there. Ankle rocker is as good as I would expect. That's very nice. It's a little bit of an angle, but it's not too bad. And the toe hinge is actually really good. The ankles and feet, very, very nicely done. So I like that. But those knees and that torso, unacceptable. Not good. And we could have done much better for the neck as well. So definitely still some problems in the engineering department. 6 out of 10 because the knees are terrible and the torso doesn't work. Not acceptable. I mean, at the price point, it doesn't matter because it doesn't cost more to make this like, they re-engineered it from Series 1. Look at Series 1. I said these knees aren't terrible, but they need to be reworked because they're too big and goofy. Those are significantly better than what we got here. So they spent the money to rework them and made them significantly worse. Look at the difference in knees. So much worse. So, yeah, again, free consulting. I'll do it. Alright, so yeah, articulation's not good. Let's talk about the final verdict on this guy. Is it still a solid Master Chief figure for 20 bucks? Yes, it is. The neck being too long definitely throws off the look of the figure. If you don't care about that, then go ahead and get it if you want a clean Master Chief. If you don't want a really clean one, Series 1 is the way to go. This figure does not have the long neck, and it has better looking knees. We have some loose joint issues, but you have to kind of pick your poison. But for me, this one, I'm only going to give it a very, very generous, because it's a solid $20 figure and only 17 or 18 at Walmart. I'll give this a 7 out of 10, but the long neck and the totally jacked up knees and the non-functioning torso are kind of a bummer for me, like a real bummer, kind of a deal breaker even. Series 1 is definitely better. So there you go, guys. Now you have enough information to pick which Master Chief you want. If you're looking for the Halo Infinite Chief, I will also be reviewing the Halo 2 Master Chief and Spartan Jerome figure, so stick around for all of those. And hey, let me know if you liked the video. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and if you didn't, you can give it a thumbs down. Let me know why in the comment section below. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to, because in addition to all those other videos that I just mentioned, I do have new videos almost every single day, and thousands already on the channel, so make sure you come back for all of that. In the meantime, keep collecting.